Warning: the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. There will also be spoilers for various anime throughout the course of this episode. Please use caution in case we discuss a series you haven't finished yet. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and may not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show. Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Dub Talk, where we talk about the latest, greatest, and maybe not so greatest in anime English dubs. And it is time for another retrospective episode, where we talk about things that we talked about in the past and see if we can talk about them more better now, because we've been doing this for 10 years.
It's been so long.
And what do we talk? I know.
It's been 84 years.
It's been 10,000 years. It's time to talk about dubs.
Oh, boy. Oh.
Not the only Power Rangers reference I'll make tonight.
There's a very,
Absolutely
you're right,
not.
there's a very fitting Sentai Power Rangers reference you can make.
Oh, boy. And, boy, do we have a show for you tonight. For tonight, we have, since it's my episode, that's why I'm talking. I'm Amon. Hi. Nice to see you.
You've got some amazing sunglasses, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I try to do that so people don't recognize me in public. I'm very popular, or so I've been told. I have chosen... I considered going over one of the shows that I had previously hosted one in the past. But unfortunately found out that they either fell into two categories. Ones where I was very happy with how the episode turned out, and ones that I had no desire to revisit because they were just not my speed. Whatever. So I decided to do the thing I usually do with this. Use this as an excuse to watch something I've been putting off for a literal decade. And that's why tonight we're talking about Flip Flappers, the 2016 show by 3 Hertz. That'll make your head hurt, so that's appropriate. And joining me, we've lost 2 people from the original episode. Shaden's on the other side of the world, and Andrew cannot make it. But joining me tonight are my compatriots from the original episode. Noah?
It is time to be loading up the episode of this podcast.
And Jamal.
Into the sky.
Exactly.
It's a rockin' theme song. It is pure serendipity.
Good quality opening and ending on this show. And we're going to talk about Flip Flappers, because I want to talk about Flip Flappers, because since doing this, yes?
I'm glad you did pick this. Like you were mentioning, there were many shows that we could have revisited to see if our opinions had changed, or just to cover stuff that maybe we didn't get a chance to the last time. But this is the one that I think deserves a bit of a revisit, particularly because it's not a show that I feel, if you weren't there at the time, you would remember. You know, it's been a bit lost to the sands of the anime timetables.
Yeah,
No,
basically.
I think maybe going forward it might get a little bit more traction, but I do think that was correct. I feel like, I put it this way, part of the reason I want to cover this is because the most I've seen people bring up Flip Flappers in the last, 9 years since it came out, is the fact that the guy who directed this directed one of the most critically acclaimed movies of last year.
Oh, he did?
Well, yeah, Kiyotaka Oshiyama directed Look Back.
Oh.
I was not aware of that.
Yes, he did. And that's part of the reason I wanted to finally get around to this. It's like, alright, you've...
And now you have to look back at this series.
Exactly. It's like, well, you've suckered me in with my terrible Fujimoto obsession. I should probably check out that other thing you've directed that people like. That seems like a good use of my time. And since goals help me actually watch anime these days, I'll do an episode on it. Great, everyone wins.
Everybody needs a little bit of structure these days.
It really does help. It's very sad.
Yeah, I remember, when this show came out, it got a lot of buzz for being an original series. Particularly, there was no source manga, there was no source light novels. It was by a newish studio, too. I believe these were from a bunch of refugees from Cinema Citrus, who had created 3 Hertz.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yeah,
sounds right.
And I mean, we should be like, we should absolutely be clamoring for more original series, like to give voices to people who don't have to be held down to, I need to promote a manga or I need to promote a video game or any other number of things like that the kids are adapting into anime these days.
Yeah, as much as I appreciate Psy Games doing that pretty consistently every year, we could stand to have it be more than just the gacha game people who have too much money.
Yeah.
Although I'm not, and again, I am sorry that this didn't quite get remembered as much as other original series. Maybe they should have gone more the Gohan's method, and just made it like so infamously terrible visually that people had no choice but to remember it.
Hell no.
You know what they say? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
I mean,
we say that. Say that, but we also still do talk about Gohans, even when their shows aren't as eye-gougingly absurd. So,
yeah, for obvious reasons. Gohans, I'd rather throw hands, to be honest.
I'm glad that Gohans exist. I mean, like, yes, it's terrible to look at, but god damn it, I am glad that someone's filling that niche.
It's not. I mean, it's not the same, but it does make the part of my brain that likes, like airbrushed van designs. That part of my brain lights up. I like those sincerely more than I like anything by Gohan sincerely, but there's a part of it that's like, wow, this is really ugly. I kind of appreciate that.
For those of you out there wondering, like, why did they make Onward, that Pixar movie that had a painted van on it, for Amon? That movie was made for Amon.
Oh, I should watch it then. That's a shame.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, well, I know what we're doing the next episode on. All right, next episode's going to be on the Pixar movie Onward and the Japanese dub for that movie.
Oh man, we're gonna bring Dub Talk Alternative back just for that.
But I'm sorry, I've taken us off track. What is this show even about?
Well, I will now read you the plot summary that came with the the press release when it first came out. Papika and Kokona hold the keys to open the door. When the two girls meet, their adventures in a different time and different overlapping dimensions called Pure Illusion begin. Many things in Pure Illusion will stand in the girls' way on their search for the mysterious crystal shard called the Shards of Mimi, an item that is said to grant any wish. However, when the girls find themselves in danger, the Shards of Mimi shines, and they're able to transform. It's not an inaccurate description of the show.
No, that matches, but it does not prepare you for exactly the candy-colored wonder that is to await you.
I guess the best way to look at it is the Melancholy Haruhi Suzumiya, Sailor Moon, it invaded with a bit of fear, being John Malkovich, and I guess Minority Report added for good measure.
Minority Report?
I don't know. I had something, but then I completely forgot the last second.
I must have skipped the bonus OVA where they go into a world where they can predict who's going to murder someone and murder them ahead of time. Sorry, I missed that episode.
I think it was the precogs. That's why I mentioned it invaded. That and the whole world bending thing.
I can see with the precogs, with the twins in the series as well. But yeah, you're not wrong to list a whole bunch of different influences because there is a running theme of the show being a visual splendor, and there are running themes of like the difficulties of growing up. It addresses things like dementia and parental disappointment, parents fighting, the oncoming onset of like learning about your own burdening sexuality. But I think the thing people mostly gonna remember is like the different worlds that the characters go to, because each one is, for the most part, a visual delight.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, if you want some, I think a good example of what the kind of the range of influences that are at work here. And there's an episode late in the series where you get to see one of the characters' bedrooms, and they have some movie posters on the wall. And they are, slightly adjusted to not infringe on certain copyrights, but you can spot, among other things, Sailor Moon, some schlocky like schoolgirl murdering monsters movie that I recognize the poster from, but can't remember what name it is. And my favorite, what is very clearly supposed to be Ben-Hur, like the Charlton Heston Ben-Hur.
I saw the name Charlton Heston. I was like, yeah, I see what you try to get away with. Also, that literally translates to Sailor Moon. I mean, yeah, Sailor Luna, but yeah, Sailor Moon all the less. That's what I was trying to remember. Okay.
Yeah. Anyone who's you can reference many different series in here. Like you see touches of like Strawberry Panic in a Yuri-centric episode. There's definitely some Gainax influence in a Super Robot episode. And
wait a minute. No. Sailor Moon wasn't what I was trying to remember. It was Other Side Picnic.
Just pick a magical girl show. Pick what's that one that that's being re-released right now by Discotech? Like lyrical.
Magical Lyrical Girl Nanaho.
Yes, Nanaho. Thank you.
Yes, Nanoha, and I have both copies. No, I was trying to remember as I picked it because there was a scene where they go in the elevator, they have to press random buttons to approach this different world, and then, of course, they traverse the different worlds all across this imagination and everything.
I would not be shocked to learn if the Other Side Picnic guy liked this show.
I would not. He
has very strong opinions about Yuri, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
Not to even mention, like, another famous anime that had elevators as a motif, Penguin Drum. Like, you can really see... They never mention it in any of the interviews I've read, but I'd be very surprised if the director of Revolutionary Girl Utena and Penguin Drum and Sari Zanmai was not an influence on the creative process of this show.
I assume it had. Like, I've actually not seen a lot of Utena. I've seen maybe like the first 10 episodes at various points in my life, but even just from that, it's kind of like, I mean, it must be... If you're doing a weird Yuri thing, I feel like Utena has to be in the stew, just, like, you have no choice, basically. Like, that's going to be an influence, directly or not.
Not just the Yuri thing, but also the commentary on growing up, you know, revolutionary adolescence of Utena. Like, it's not as good as that. Like, I don't think Flip Flappers reaches that level. Just the show itself. We'll talk about the actual voice acting in a bit, which is way better than the Utena dub, don't get me wrong. But that's a very low bar to clear.
Clearing the bar because it's buried 6 feet in the ground.
Ooh.
Rest in peace, Central Park Media.
Rest in peace.
Oh, you tried your best.
Rest in peace, Rachel Lillis.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. I think what we are getting at is this feels like a very literate show, and it's also very happy to show what those influences are on its sleeve. It's not trying to obfuscate that in any way. It is very much like, these are the things that inspired us and that we want to be in dialogue with, which I think is a lot of fun.
It is. There's nothing wrong with homage, certainly. Like, no one's gonna watch any of these episodes and think like, they're not paying reference or not giving lip service to the genres and the stories that came before them. Like, no, if you're in the know on anime, well, it's kind of funny to think that if you know nothing of anime, like if this is your first anime, you'll think that these are like the wildest, craziest things you've ever seen. I can't imagine what possible human being picked Flip Flappers as their very first anime.
Oh, that person's in for... They're in for... That's the sort of thing where either you are now going to love this medium or you, like, never touch it again for 10 years because it just, like, I don't know what's happening and I'm having a bad time.
Just Brian Wilson, just away with his psychiatrist, like, there were these people who were dressed in schoolgirl outfits, shooting rocket lasers, and then they had butterfly wings come out of their neck, and you gotta help me, Dr. Landley. I'm seeing things, man.
Oh, no. Rest in peace, Brian. I hope you get to kick your father in the balls in hell. Not that he's in hell, just he gets to visit.
I just hope he's bitten to make shortening bread for the rest of his heavenly life.
There we go. That's what it is. Anyways, I think we'll probably talk more about the show as we talk about the dub, but do we want to start talking about the dub?
I think this is well worth talking about. For one, thank you, Sentai, for picking this up in the first place. And also,
yeah, I know, right?
For finishing it. And also for putting it in this lovely collector's edition Blu-ray set that I've got right here. You hear that?
Oh, yeah, this is
a thick-ass Pure Illusion Memorial booklet that comes bundled in the limited edition, which is almost 300 pages long and is full of every concept art that they could cram into this book. It's gorgeous.
It legitimately, like, high-quality boutique label reissue stuff. Like, very impressive.
And it's sparkly.
It is sparkly.
So yeah, who was the director and scriptwriter on this particular show?
Yes. Who was the crew? Let me tell you all about them. Directing the show, we have John Swayze, also known for around this time. He was directing stuff like the second season of Food Wars, Tanaka-kun is Always Listless, Ushio and Tora. And writing it was Marta Bechtel, who around this time was writing stuff like Food Wars, Flying Witch, and Gate. Gentlemen, you're the ones who have actually watched this previously. This is my first time watching it. Unofficially, this is technically a Classics episode, but we're not going to market it as that because that's too confusing. But tell me, what were your feelings upon revisiting this after, don't know, bordering on a decade at this point? 8 years at least?
So, yeah, upon rewatching this, I remember, I'm trying to remember, I would think the first time, as with most Sentai dubs, they always have a bit of hokiness to them. But I think this is one of the more premium fair dubs, to be honest, because in hindsight, I didn't have any problems with any of the lines in the dub or any of the actors being cast or anything. I mean, there was one I thought was a little weirded out originally. Probably one I thought was a little weirded out originally. That would be Mimi. But I thought, because you see Mimi. Okay, long story short, having to hear Shelley Colleen's Black's voice out of a younger girl's body can be a little weird at times. I mean, I'm probably one of the few people that like to Medaka Box, but I thought like as like the central, being the center of this entire story, like towards the very end of the show, I thought she was very well cast and probably what the show needed. Like there was some choices in here. Like I'm not gonna be around the bush. As much as we love him on this podcast, David Wald, it was a little weird to hear him do a younger voice, but David Wald is just like one of those people who, no matter what he does, he can't really do any wrong. And that night I've heard him and Kiss Him Not Me, so that was something to behold as well. But I think in general with the casting, I don't think any of them really missed a beat, because this is something that is so hard to describe, let alone something hard enough to dub, that if I went back, I bet if I went and looked back at the old reviews, I probably had more problems with this than I do now. But upon rewatching, I really enjoyed every minute of it. The only thing I suggest, if you're interested in watching something like this, is either don't binge it all, or if you are gonna binge it, don't try to use it as background noise, even when you try to do something else, because you really need to pay attention to something like this, a show like this, a dub like this. I think John and Marta did very well, and I know I've been a little hit or miss with John lately, but I think fantasy is more his common ground, because like one of the credits you listed for him, Amon, Ushio and Tora. Mm-hmm. It kind of surprised our resident fanboy Jet, who he couldn't believe with certain actors in that dub either. So I know John has a tendency to do very well in fantasy dubs. Music dubs, your mileage may vary, I will say that, but John did very well with his casting and his directing. Marta's script is usually really good. There's nothing really out of place. I'm just glad for once I can hear somebody curse in the dub, and it doesn't feel out of place,
For one particular character, yeah.
Well, yeah, but she's kind of valid for that reason.
Well, I mean, you bring up the good point that something that bad dubs do is they don't retain the voice, like the chosen vocabulary between characters. Like that, someone who would not be appropriate swearing would be out of place for this show, definitely. So they don't pepper this whole show with crass language. They save it for the characters who are the angriest or the most warranted to swear. So that's definitely a benefit on Marta's writing side. She knew, okay, so Papika talks like this and would never say something like this. Kokona would say this kind of stuff. She wouldn't say that kind of stuff. That's just a good way to, even without hearing the actors say it, keep your dialogue in tune with what the original was supposed to be.
Yeah, and the way she approaches it, it's like she's really in tune with the personalities of the characters. Because,
Yes.
Paprika is poppy and energetic, Coconut is reserved and has an reserved and I guess simplistic, nondescript. Let's put it that way.
Sure,
and Yadika is very angsty, very feisty, and has a bit of a bad attitude for various reasons. But and that's what made modern script work, because if you're not really in tune with the personalities, some choice words could feel a bit out of place.
I find it interesting that you mentioned how the best way to watch this would not be to play it as background material. Which, to be fair, I agree. No show should really be able to be enjoyed as just background noise. If it is, then it's not a very engaging show. I was going through one of the interviews with the director that got unearthed recently, and one of the things that he said he was trying to do with this show is to make a show that is low stress, like the kind of show that you can just come home from a hard day's work and relax in front of the TV and just enjoy a fluffy show without having to think too hard about it. So this definitely strikes me as the kind of show that, yes, there are deeper themes in there, but honestly, if you're just in it for the visual spectacle, you could probably understand the story just fine without paying attention to what the details of Pure Lotion is, or this institution of Flip Flap, what they're trying to accomplish. It's really just about enjoying the spectacle, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would admit my head was empty a few times when I started watching it, because there was nothing really to think about until the last third of the show. Mm-hmm. And even then, some of the central plot is kind of something you would see in other shows before, a cult type kind of plot, because that's what it ends up into. But it never really felt out of place or anything. It's not like it didn't feel. It's not like it felt forced or anything. It somehow managed to work its way in naturally, organically.
Yeah.
So.
And it benefits from having every episode be mostly self-contained. Again, there's some things that they reference in one episode, their art teacher gets kind of set up in earlier episodes before she gets the main focus in a later episode. But if you had missed those initial episodes, you can still follow along with her background, the trauma of her, not even her grandma, her neighborhood old lady friend suffering from dementia.
Well, first I was gonna say about your point, the show is good at being self-contained in a pretty easy way. I feel up until about maybe episode 10 or so, if you kind of just get dropped into this, you can really pick up what's going on without too much trouble. It is very kind of a lot easier to get into on an episode by episode basis than I think what the show looks like it should be, just given what it's doing.
Yeah, it has a lot of similarities to shows like Michiko and Hachin, which also is a very episodic series that you can enjoy.
Yes,
without having seen the previous episodes.
Yeah. Actually, hold on, I want to see something. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, why you...
No, actually, no, yes, no, this does make sense. Kiyotaka Oshiyama, before he made this, the other big thing he did was an episode of Space Dandy. So, no, he is, in fact, part of the Shichiniro Watanabe lineage.
That's why the name sounded familiar.
Yes, I've not seen a lot of Space Dandy. I don't think I've seen this episode. But no, he is, in fact, very literally a part of, that. He's from that production family tree. So, no, that makes sense.
It's unfortunate that... it's not unfortunate. It's interesting that that's the frame of reference that we go into because of how monumentally important Cowboy Bebop is to Western anime fans. I'm not sure how influential he is to, those not in Japan.
I feel like he's probably... it's one of these things where, if you probably worked on a production of his, yes. But even here, clearly that's not the only thing. I was reading in the book that comes with the limited edition, they do, they have character designs, and the director and the character designer kind of talk about them, and he mentions that a big influence on Papika was like the protagonist of like shonen manga that he read as a kid in like the late Showa era. So like, the 80s, 90s, stuff like that.
I mean, that makes
probably probably like a little older than the kind of style of shonen where you're used to if you're like an American of approximately our age. And I see that, and that's sort of what I find interesting about this, is that the show looks like it's a very specific kind of show, but also clearly is pulling in a lot of influences you wouldn't necessarily expect just looking like the key art, basically.
That's an interesting point. Is that's probably because the director had a very different background than the writer and the concept artist. Like looking through again those interviews, and you can argue death of the author all you want about how like we shouldn't even bother with what they intended, but I really feel like that does add a level to this, because some of the decisions in here don't feel like they were the intentional choice of like one particular person. It really feels like multiple people's ideas clashing with each other in a good way. So you have a very renowned Yuri writer who influenced this way more than the director, who didn't really have experience with Yuri before. So that kind of explains the mishmash of styles we got going on here.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I also agree with Jamal about the writing being simplistic, straight to the point. The adaptation that Marta does is there didn't really feel like she needed to make any creative, adaptive changes to the original writing. Like it doesn't make reference to like almost any Japanese pop culture things that would need to be translated over to English. The only one I can think of was in the episode where the grandma episode. Kokona is singing the tune to a Japanese nursery rhyme, I think it is, and
the subtitle comes up on screen. I remember almost being startled by that, because there'd been so little on-screen text prior to that.
Yeah,
outside like the first episode, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. There's only that's pretty much the only place it shows up, and it doesn't last very long. So Marta just writes in like, just sing the lyrics to this song because the scene's done and over with.
Thank you for reminding me, Noah. There was one little nitpick I had, and I think that was in the second or third episode where they finally transformed. And they yell out the weapon attacks. You can see the subtitle of the weapon attacks on screen. And yet, when they say it out loud, it's the Japanese name. I don't know if part of that was the flaps, or if that was a writing decision on their part.
Well, I think it was the flips, actually.
The flips?
I'm being funny.
Yeah, was there like on screen was like sound effects like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure style that needed to be translated?
No, it's just like when they say the weapon names out loud, they say they put their name and then the Japanese name of the attack, whereas you can see the subtitle in English on screen.
I missed that. I must have, because every other time they transform outside of episode 2, it's just their names and flapping. So that's an interesting choice, that they chose to keep the Japanese name but have a translation on the screen so that we know what it's supposed to mean.
Localization.
That's one thing that bugs me a little bit about Sentai, is like their home video releases and dubs are littered with that, where they will often just have a pop-up on screen that will tell you this is what this means.
That's always been my bone of contention. Like, you could find a way to work that in organically. Really, Flip Flappers, just that one scene is the exception to the rule.
I could give you a whole spiel about how interesting it is to look at various home video companies and see kind of what fan philosophy they clearly grew out of. And like, the ADV Sentai, Houston line is clearly much more along the lines of like, we would rather have this be like, we want to do as little massaging as possible. We want to give you something as close to what it would be to watch as just a if this was your native language kind of a thing.
You are my Nakama, and nothing will change that.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's always interesting to see how they approach it, though.
Don't you know you are worthy of my grace?
And my axe.
They make good coconut milk, by the way.
Anyways, so as far as like no real nitpicks for me personally on the writing and the directing side of things, because again, there's a lot going on in this, but as far as like getting the point across, I don't think anyone would lose anything watching this in English than if they watched it in Japanese. In fact, you may appreciate it more because you can focus less on reading the dialogue and more focusing on what's going on in front of you if you have it in English.
Yeah, I think I do want to highlight is I really think the performances in this dub shine a lot.
Oh yeah,
I think that's something, and like I think that's also in context with having this script that is like the show's dense, but the dialogue isn't necessarily. I thought Marta did a good job of not trying to like overwrite any of that. Like it's not that complicated on a certain level, so don't try and make it more complicated than it needs to be.
exactly.
Yeah. This show does not have the Cowboy Bebop or the Wolf's Rain issue. No, quirk. It does not have the quirk of characters say one thing but mean another thing. Pretty much what they say is just what is written on the tin.
Yeah. No one's. This is not a show about characters trying to lead each other around by the nose. Like they're pretty upfront about how they're feeling.
Yes, they are. So yeah, I think it's well time to talk about the most important characters that make up this dub.
Oh, absolutely. The unquestionable tour de forces of this entire show. We are, of course, you who may or may not have seen the show, we are, of course, talking about TT392 and U School, who are respectively a robot, who is maybe Papika's friend or just follows her around, it's not clear, and Kokona's pet rabbit?
Yeah.
Doesn't look like any rabbit I've ever seen.
The rejected Tricks mascot for Japan.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I'll take. Yeah, no, that works. That works.
The whole is TD392 like supposed to be the embodiment of a character. So in the very last episode, we see that he's been going through this whole show as like this morphing, sentient, wheeled with tentacle armed robots. In the very last episode, he turns into a crane. That's his fate.
Gonna be Crane. Maybe he'll get lucky and he's the Crane from that They Might Be Giants song.
Wait, you kind of skipped over that one little surprise part where he ends up turning into a muscle-bound machine with a human brain.
Well, he already had a human brain. They show that in the first episode. He's just got a brain. Why? No one knows.
I mean, it doesn't need to. It's anime. It's allowed to be anything.
It's anime.
It's interesting the choices they choose to make in the dub. Then how to translate the characters' voices.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And since we can't get to that, I'm going to tell you who plays these characters. Playing TT392, we have Jay Hickman, known for such roles as Joichi in Food Wars, Emilio Toriyama in Gotchaman Crowd's Inside, and because you can't bring up Jay Hickman and robots without talking about him, he plays Mekazawa in Cromartie High School. And
that's
one of my favorite fictional robots. Love that guy.
See,
his voice is so soothing.
You're right. That is more fitting for a robot character. But for a split second, I thought because we have a review Starlight episode coming up in a bit that you were going to reference him as the giraffe in that series.
He is in the giraffe. That's right.
Yeah.
I understand.
For some reason, I thought when you was saying robots, I thought you were gonna bring up the giraffe for some reason.
The giraffe isn't a robot. It's just a weird character that shows up in the background.
But Mekazawa is pretty cool, though. I still like that little censor y'all did for the episode.
It's a good time.
It was worth the episode just for that.
Oh, absolutely. And U-Skule is being played by Mark X. Leskowski.
Bless you.
I'm sorry, man. It's late.
It's a great tongue twister of a
Bless
name.
you.
The extra X throws you off there.
X gonna give it to you.
Look, I'm a guy with some kind of middle European last name that people mispronounce correctly. I feel like he's probably had that happen to him too. I feel bad. That's all.
I apologize.
Anyways,
is it not pronounced? Have I mispronounced that all these years?
You have been, yes, actually.
Damn it! I'm sorry.
What? Did you forget?
You're fine. No one knows. It's okay.
I've never heard you say it out loud. Is why.
Perfectly. It's a nonsense last name. Don't worry about it.
Fair enough.
I'll tell you all about it later.
Okay.
You're doing better than me. I got an Irish last name, but people would think I'm related to a martial artist.
Oh boy.
Names are fun.
Names are fun. Anyways, Mark is known for playing such roles as Triken in Amiga Brilliant Park, Kyoji Atsuzawa in Ushio and Tora, and one I'm including here simply because I was looking up credits for him on Anime News Network, and I saw this, and I thought, what the fuck am I looking at? He is in Black Bullet playing a character named Ayn Rand. I desperately want to know why this character is named Ayn Rand.
Oh, no.
Names!
I don't know a damn thing about Black Bullet, but now I'm curious.
There's got to be a Fountainhead reference in there somewhere.
Well,
I
think I know a little about Black Bullet, but that's because Brittany Karbowski's in it cursing her mouth out. We'll get to her later.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Putting that on my to-watch list.
No.
Anyways, before we start, I do have a question I want to pose to the two of you, which one of you hopefully will be able to answer. Have either of you seen Venture Brothers?
Oh, heck yeah.
No, Noah, having watched this, a thought occurred to me, and I want to ask you this. Is TT392 just anime helper?
See, when the show first came out, the answer is yes. Yes, he is anime helper. I was thinking it was supposed to be more like a QT from Space Dandy kind of character, but no.
That's probably the more relevant point of comparison, but every time he got smashed up, it helps that he also talks in, robot nonsense, so.
Yeah, it's like a very vocoder kind of, whatever they're putting on Jay's voice there is fitting with the Japanese, first of all, but also makes everything he says just, very nonsense robot sounding.
Yes. Since if you haven't watched the show, neither of these people really talk, they just kind of make noises.
Yeah.
More Jay Hickman than Mark Klaskowski.
Yeah.
No, good for them, because here's the thing. They got to make, non-audible dialogue and get paid for it. That is way more than any of us can say.
I know, but here's the thing. You don't see a Yuke School as much, and when you do, he doesn't speak at all, if any. So...
But he gets to turn into a big, muscular superhero character.
Yeah.
So... Honestly, they could have just kept the audio from the Japanese and just, put it in the, the mouths of the characters in the dub without having to do any extra changes or anything. But I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad that they took the effort to give these parts English-speaking actors. That's about all I can really say, aside from they're fun background characters to have just for the sake of having cute robots and bunnies in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more or less agree. Like, they're doing exactly what they need to do for these characters.
Yep.
My favorite probably being in, I think it's episode 3 where we only see it in shadow, and apparently TT tries to say hi to U-School at one point, and U-School apparently just grows a big old mouth and tries to eat him.
Yeah, I don't know. There was some foreshadowing going on there, and I'm not sure if there was supposed to be something more sinister or if it was just a one and done gag.
I actually did wonder that it's is something bad gonna happen with U-School, especially with the transforming into the big rabbit guy, which I think happens in the episode right before that.
Yeah, episode 2 is where we first meet him.
But no, I think it's the joke is just the rabbit is actually really menacing. And that TT's a big weenie who can't deal with the universe will always find a way to harass him. That's just who he is.
Well, he deserves it too. He was creeping on the girls when they were changing outfits or taking a shower. He deserves to be smashed up.
Probably. See anime and manga. This is how you deal with the annoying perfect character. You make him a semi-inanimate object, so he gets trashed up. Nobody minds.
I'm gonna take that audio from that Lightning McQueen bit that got popular, where he's getting in trouble with middle schoolers. But I'm just gonna replace all the audio with TT392 now. You're a robot! What is wrong with you? We lost so many sponsorships. Apple, Adidas. You don't have to go to court now, right?
Shame.
Not really anything else to add on that, except I like Jay and I like Mark, and although they're unrecognizable here, though, anything personality traits or vocal tics that you associate with these two in other roles, you will probably not recognize them in this show.
No, they're doing a good Oh no, I know his name. What's his name? Fred Jones, that one.
You mean the one who voices Fred Jones in Scooby-Doo?
Yes.
That would be Frank Welker.
Thank you. They're doing a good Frank Welker in that, like, they're really committing to the non-human voice in a way where you're not going to necessarily pick up who exactly is on the other side, which is a skill. Like, not everyone can do that. So
it's funny you mentioned that. We were rewatching This Is America, Charlie Brown, not related to the Childish Gambino song, which is all like, you know, the history of America through like the space race. And Frank Welker is all over that show. Like, he plays Founding Fathers. He plays the Sasquatch character, or no, not Sasquatch. Who am I thinking of? One's Native Americans who helped the Pilgrims on the Mayflower. Squanto, that's it. He's all over that. So yeah, he is a man of 1,000 voices.
Hey, Frank, we got you down for like 10 characters. Is that going to be okay? That's easy. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Can I use my Fred Jones impression? Yes, you can use your Fred Jones voice just for one of them.
It's just a little Easter egg to himself.
I'm sorry. Did anyone else have anything to say about TT392 and Uxkuel? Wait, what the heck kind of a name is Uxkuel anyway?
That's a great. I didn't get a chance to finish reading through this book, but I was curious. I can only assume, given that fairy tales are clearly a part of this show, that maybe it is in reference to something German that I'm not familiar with. That's the best I got.
That is a very safe guess. Google brings up Jacob Johann von Uxkuel, a German biologist from the Baltic region who lived back in 1860s through 1944. Animal behavior. Okay, his study was in animals, so there we go.
Okay, alright, yeah, rabbit. Okay, there we go. That makes sense. Yep, okay.
If I had a nickel for every time a German reference was involved in an anime, I'd have 2 nickels.
You'd have way more
than
than
a lot
just
more
two.
than 2 nickels.
You'd have a lot of
So
nickels.
many nickels. See, this is what I'm talking about, this show being very literate. Like, the rabbit character, the name has meaning. Amazing.
So yeah, did anyone else have anything about these?
I got none.
Well, we love them, that's why they're here. But let's move on to some characters who have actual dialogue now.
Yes.
We are going to be talking about some people who work for Flip Flap, the eponymous organization who sends these kids into these other worlds and tries to help them out. Plus one who's, you know, important and made more sense for me to collect them here than elsewhere. We are discussing Salt. He is the head of Flip Flap. He's the one running this. He's been involved in the program for a long time. And particularly, one of the reasons he's so involved is this woman here next to him, Mimi. Mimi used to be one of the people who would go into other worlds way back in the day. She was Papika's first partner. She got along really well with Salt.
Really well.
Baby.
Maybe a little too well.
Yeah.
It got complicated.
It got seasoned.
Things. God damn it. Things got a little bit out of hand. You know how it is. Also there are Hidaka and Sayuri, who are a pair of scientists who work for Flip Flap. They are sort of the support team for the girls, and Hidaka has just one of the most amazingly eye-gouging character designs I've ever seen in an anime. It's really something to behold.
What the overalls with the pink hair and the glasses and all that?
Yeah.
I don't even remember if he actually has buck teeth, but in my mind he has buck teeth, because that feels like the perfect addition to the already just ridiculous character design that he already has. If you're not watching this on YouTube, I do recommend looking this character up. He's a feast for the eyes.
No, he does not have buck teeth, but he definitely does fill the nerd scientist role very well.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's why I think he does, because he's the kind of character who would be drawn with buck teeth, even though he personally does not have them. And in the last episode, you get a little image spot of him being just a complete crazy person, which is very funny to me.
It's performance art. He's doing performance art.
Man, they're getting more and more they're performing even weirder and weirder stuff every year. Man, look at them go.
Hey, let's be thankful, though. Considering that a lot of performance art involves stripping your clothes, and he wasn't doing that, I think we should count our blessings.
Fair point. But who is playing these characters? Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. Playing Salt, we have David Wald, known for such roles as Ricky Nendo in The Disastrous Life of Psyche K, the Funimation version, Murasaki in Drifters, and Bird Katze in Gatchaman Crowds. Mimi is being played by Shelley Colleen Black, who is known for such roles as Ice Wallenstein in Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Probably.
Yes, it is. Stop doing it. Leave him alone.
We keep telling them this, and there's like 6 seasons of this crap. It's astonishing. No one has an issue. They love it.
No. What's wrong with the world? Well, a lot's wrong with the world, but that's one of them.
I go out, and people are like, Hestia's Bestia, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't watch this show. Please speak English. She also plays Rin Suzukaze in Majestic Prince, and she plays Miss Smith in Monster Musume, among others. Hidaka is being played by David Matrenga, who's known for such roles as Odagiri in Joker Game, Kuzuya in Planetarian, and the same year this came out, he started playing a character named Shoto Todoroki in some little-known shonen anime called My Hero Academia. I wonder how that turned out for him. I should look it up one of these days.
I don't think anyone remembers that one. It's a completely forgotten entity. You know, it's up there with like the Rolling Girls and things that people don't remember from the mid-2010s.
Tragic. Oh well, hopefully he'll find another role that will give him years and years of work.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And Sayuri is being played by Chelsea McCurdy, who's known for such roles as Tsubasa Musudachi in Gatchaman Crowds, Insight, Inuki in Flying Witch, and Nosuri in Utaware Rumo...
Underwater Romano.
I don't want to do the Underwater Romano joke. I've been taking Japanese on and off for like a decade. I should be able to do this by now.
Okay, alright.
Utaware Rumono, the false faces. Yeah, I did it. Anyways.
It's better than either of us could do, so good job.
Alright. The first thing I will say, it is really uncanny hearing David Wald play a young person. I don't think I've ever heard him do it before. And it is strange only because it is still clearly David Wald, but I don't think I've ever heard him play like he sounds like himself usually, like adults, like adults. So it's even like I think in the past Salt's supposed to be probably like in his like 20s, I'm guessing. Like he's not that young, but it's younger than I've ever heard David Wald go, and it's like this is uncanny.
It also kind of comes out of nowhere because for the most part he's just kind of chilling in the background and we don't really hear him say very much. But when he finally gets more lines in the final third, it's like, that is different than what I was expecting.
It's like you ever see like a young photo of like Tommy Lee Jones when he was young?
No, I haven't. I'm gonna look that up right now.
Like it's not wrong. It's just uncanny because in my mind that guy's like he starts at 50 and gets older from there.
Right.
The idea that he was a young person is almost weird.
All right, I'm gonna look this up.
It feels a little, like not in a bad way. It's just like this is not how I'm used to you sounding.
Oh, wow. Oh, he had some heck of a unibrow going on in his young days.
Reminds me of somebody I went to school with.
Good God, wow. But yeah, you can totally see in young Tommy Lee Jones, like his high school pictures, you can see the old man he's gonna grow up into.
Exactly. What was the point? I really like this performance to the point where I'm like, has he done this in other things? And I just shows I've not watched. This is nice, actually. Like I should look into that. Frankly, that's probably the section where he gets the most dialogue. So that's part of the reason it stands out. But it's like this is good and interesting. I'm not used to hearing this from him.
Yeah, like I said, Kiss Him Not Me is the only other show I know that where he's done a younger teenage voice.
Okay.
And I think it also kind of stands out to me as well, not just because that's where he gets the most dialogue, but that's one thing I forgot to bring up with casting, because you hear some people in this show, like you hear one and the same actor like 2 or 3 times in this show. Like we're not talking about her, but Iroha Irodori. I mean, we only see her in for 2 minutes at most the entire show. And then you have that little witch in episode 3 that brainwashed Coconut. And their voice,
kick-ass character design.
Yeah, they're both voiced by Kira Vincent Davis. So you're gonna see more stuff like that in the show as well. So having to hear David Wald play this character, having to hear David Wald play anything, it's really no surprise to me anymore. Like the man is is good at what he does. So the fact that young Salt is new territory to him is kind of surprising, but old Salt is more or less the same David Wall used to. But you know,
That's true.
We've seen the man in a myriad of roles, and much like Brittany Karbowski, like he can spin his voice and to any different tone to make the character fit. It will always come out good. So.
Plus, if you look at Salt's design, and he is basically, I want Gendo Ikari. We have Gendo Ikari at home, and that's Salt's design. So I have to assume that David's directions were basically just try to emulate that in the adult era, you know, just like that very low commanding voice with a very, you know, disappointing, I'm disappointed in you children kind of a voice.
The more you mention it, the more I forgot about the Eva references too.
Oh, heck yeah.
Especially with Coconut and Mimi, which we'll get to Mimi next, but you know, David Wall, if it ain't par for the course, it's gonna be a knockout either way. So
yeah, there's definitely no sour line reads from David. I liked his in the last episode where he's basically trying to apologize for you know, his treatment. I'm assuming it's like I was more focused on finding pure illusion than focusing on my relationships, and I need to atone for that. And that's where David gets to be the most vulnerable sounding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, since of course by the time this was being recorded, John Swayze plays Gendo in the Rebuild movies.
Yeah.
So I've forgotten about that.
He would in fact know exactly how how to give that direction to somebody.
Right. Yeah. Shelley's Mimi, on the other hand, gets to be absolutely crazy gets to be deranged in the last two episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Gets to go full alligator teeth. Basically, I don't think there's a direct reference, but I would not be surprised if the creators of Turning Red hadn't seen this and taken just a tiny bit of inspiration for the finale of that movie.
I believe it. I can believe it. I feel like you're the kind of people who end up making something like Turning Red. This would be a show that would appeal to you. So
true. And yeah, Shelley's performance in it covers both the like soft maternal voice in like the scenes or the episodes that are kind of leading up to finding out who Mimi was, and then also the very dramatic, almost delusional lines that she has in the last episode, trying to convince us that I just did it all for my daughter, and all at the same time, and now come here and get your spanking.
Oh
dear.
Yeah. So like I was saying, it would at when I first heard it originally, I thought it was a little cathartic because, you know, that was part of the hokiness back in the day. Like, here's somebody who you would think would sound a little too old to be playing what I think is essentially a teenager, if not a child. But when I saw the introduction to her the second time around today, it really makes sense because this is somebody who doesn't know a lot about the outside world, is just very reserved and doesn't know how to interact with other people just yet. I mean, hell, we could infer what happened, but they never explain what happened with the other test subjects that tried to partner with her. And I kind of realized the Eva references because, in a way, it's kind of like Ray, but in reverse. Because you know how Ray is basically modeled after Shinji's mother.
Mm-hmm.
It's an adverse because Mimi comes back to life possessing her daughter.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in that kind of way, it's kind of a reverse Eva reference, if not an entire Eva reference, with pretty much reality is bent all out to hell. But
it's a good question to like ask. Was this directly inspired by Eva, or has Eva just, you know, saturated anime so much that the psychological elements that it introduced are just kind of felt in shows, even if they're not directly trying to reference it?
I'm gonna say yes to the latter. So
It does feel like Ava's just kind of permanently in the stew of anime at this point, whether you're consciously thinking about it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably right though. There were some intentional references, like they literally call the character who we're going to talk about in a little bit the third child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
that's pretty on the nose.
The other thing I want to add about Shelley is, this is just from a casting perspective, I think she was very well placed here, just in the sense of like, when she came on, it was like, I definitely believe that this is Kokona's mother, just based on how she talks. Like they did a good job of casting an actress who matches Lucy Christian's performance in a way that, like, yes, I believe these two are related.
That's a good
definitely.
point.
Which I don't. Not all shows are concerned with that, just because that's not necessarily an important aspect. But here, I thought that is something that is probably, good to keep in mind, and I thought they did a good job with it.
Yeah, and the duality she plays between having to differentiate between good Mimi and bad Mimi, or fake Mimi, as I like to put it, because pure illusion. Like she said, pure illusion. Like, each face she covets is real because all of them are facets of one. So, I mean, bad Mimi is still Mimi, but good Mimi is also Mimi. And then there's true Mimi, which we see at the end there. So,
And it's still very apparently the same character, not just because we can tell from the animation, but also, you're right, like, the way that Shelley chooses to say words, which I think a lot of people don't think about that as much, is that when voice actors are voicing a character, they're not just using their normal speaking voice. Like, they sometimes have to pick and choose, like, the way that they are going to say things. There's a really great interview that Glenn Close gave, where she was kind of going through the history of her movies she'd been in, and she'd brought up Cruella de Vil from the 101 Dalmatians movie, and how her British dialect was very specifically, like, very hard on the T's, and had to, like, emulate a specific person who she was thinking of. I can't remember who it was. But, yeah, seeing Shelley's delivery here to intentionally match the way that Lucy had Kokona speak as well feels like something definitely worth commending.
yeah.
Did you know Glenn Close was in Hook?
I think so. Yeah.
I think I did. Yes, that makes sense.
She plays the pirate who gets thrown into the boo box.
Dude, it's been years since I've seen Hook.
Well, I know what we're watching after this podcast then.
The list grows and grows. Let's see. In comparison, I have a lot less to say about David and Chelsea, not because they are giving it bad performances or anything, just that their characters don't do as much. Mm-hmm. David's very funny. I'll say that. He's very funny in this, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Now, at the top of the segment, when you said that this was the most interesting David you probably had heard, my mind automatically went to David Matranga, because for as lot of David Matrangas I've listened to in years past, I sincerely called bullshit that was him. Even now, like, I probably did back in the day, but I still do now, because for one thing, of course, you hear his usual tone of voice that he uses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the character announcement, of course you don't have a picture on hand, and you look at the character, can anybody ever figure out exactly how does your mind process David Matranga voicing that character?
He going from his suave everyman voice into this very deranged, crazy scientist character.
In any case, that's the beauty of casting sometimes, which is why I thank God that we stopped doing predictions long ago, because you can never really pinpoint how far left field someone's range could be. Like, Jesus Christ, I really cannot recall any other David Matranga performance I've ever heard that were anywhere close to this. I mean, I've seen him voice a pink-haired character before in Carnival, Dr. Akari, if I remember correctly. And then somehow he landed a role in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in Stone Ocean as a sniper assassin named John Gallier. And Jesus Christ, that character. I think that's also a pink-haired character, dude, now that you think about it. I could be wrong, but the point I'm trying to make is, don't think about it, just listen, because David was like you said, we don't have much to say, but that's only because there's much. David Matranga was a very much a delight, and sometimes you could, if you listen closely, you could pick up on it, but really, you'll know it's him when he's just playing it straight. I think the second to last episode, like he initiates this program for TT-392 to turn into this giant muscular robot, and then he just takes off his glasses and talks straight like the normal David Matranga I'm used to. I was like, okay, that's a suave kind of move right there.
You can also hear his normal voice in episode 8, the one that's a giant Gynax homage with the basically he plays like a kid who's built this giant Minecraft server, and he has less of the nasal voice in that one, and it's a bit closer to I think what we're used to David's voice being.
Do you mean the character that they called Mister?
Yes, I mean they called Mister.
No, that was actually Greg Cote. Because here's the thing about that episode. I thought that whole thing was a subconscious about Hidaka, and most of it ended up being the TT-392, really. But I thought that whole time that was also David Matranga. Nope, it was Greg Cote.
Thank you for correcting me. I'm so sorry about that.
This is one of the troubles of doing Sentai releases. Everyone who's not a main character just ends up in additional voices, and you kind of have to guess.
Well, the thing was, he was listed on the credits. It's just that they never really listed his character properly. I think I had to find out. Okay, they did list that character properly, but also like other aggregate sites is like it's listed differently.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Well, that's the sad thing. The internet has no standards, so there's no one to be going around and like correcting information where it's wrong.
Yeah, those standards all optional.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who does have standards? It's probably Sayuri, who is the only level-headed one keeping this whole thing together.
The only one who probably doesn't need to go to therapy.
No, she gets to be a big sister in the finale.
Exactly.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, Chelsea's whole. I also don't have as much to say about here, but she's a necessary part of the show. She's important to be the one who can like kind of explain the concepts in a way that the average person can understand, but also just because we need to be assured that this organization knows what it's doing. Like, they are not crazy for sending 2 middle school girls with magical girl powers into Wonderland, basically, to retrieve shards of a thing that will grant wishes? Like, can we get someone normal on the staff, please?
Oh, yeah. Alright, fine. We'll give you one normal person as a treat.
I mean, every show's gotta have that inverse of that one inverse of the entire cast. I mean, I still remember when I did Kado the Right Answer, a lot of us were a little off put by Tabitha Reyes, this quirky scientist, but I thought she was a breath of fresh air and was able to provide exposition to the show. I think the same kind of holds. I think the same kind of holds true here in the show, as wacky and tripped out as this. Even though there was some things played for keeps, but everything still has its place in the show.
Well, first off, anyone who says that Tabitha Ray wasn't the best part of Kodo, the right answer, are wrong. And I don't know how they live with themselves, but they are wrong.
This was also years ago, and I never finished the show, so...
Oh, you should, well, here, I'm gonna add that to your, to-watch list. No, better yet, we're gonna duel. We're gonna duel coming up here, and it's gonna be, you're gonna finish everything that we've mentioned in this episode that you haven't finished yet. But it's okay, because you get to recommend something for me to finish that I haven't finished yet. Which is everything.
Let's just agree to agree and say Chelsea McCurdy did a very good job. We just don't have much to say about her. Sound good?
Very, very, very good performance. Like, did great for the character. Good job.
You poured your heart out, you still got a paycheck regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
And with that, do we want to move on to our next set of characters?
Let's do it.
All right. Next we have our broadly our antagonist. This isn't a show that really has neat like antagonist protagonist boxes, except for maybe like Mimi at the very end. But we have the people who our leads are in conflict with the most. Let's say
They do the agonists basically.
yeah,
That's true.
we have first up we have Yayaka, who is Kokono's childhood friend, and as she finds out relatively early on, is actually working for a rival organization called Lesbos, who are also trying to find these magical gems to grant a wish and take over the world or something like that. And it brings her and Kokono into a fair amount of conflict because they have a lot of feelings about how various things are playing out between the two of them.
It's hard to do when you're the best friend that you've had for many years, and now you have to fight each other.
Exactly. She spends most of her time hanging out with Yu and Toto, who are a pair of sidekicks, siblings maybe, unclear. Like they're just kind of weird children who
they were born with the amorphous, which allows them to transcend the worlds and enter pure illusion.
And unfortunately, as Yayaka finds out about 2/3 of the way through the show, they're a lot more loyal to their organization than they are to her personally, which definitely stings.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's actually because Yayaka has kind of another personality because she's upset that she doesn't have the ability to go to pure illusion by herself, but these three can basically because the whole thing about this show is it's strange, but you don't really focus on most of the plots like the last third. So what it is it turns out that these priest guys, the cultists, basically, they used to be members of they call it Asclepios. They used to be members of part of the research team actually, because when Mimi goes to attack them in I think episode 11 or so, she mentions that, hey, wait a minute, aren't you one of the research guys? And it turns out they just basically use this experiments like a cult kind of thing to like break down the barriers of reality to enter pure illusion. And everybody has their own prerogatives about it.
If this organization was around in the 90s, they would have absolutely devoted all their resources to understanding the back rooms.
Where was I? Oh, and rounding out this segment, we have Yu, who is another one of these kids. She kind of gets pulled out to more or less sub in for Yayaka when Yayaka gets briefly captured, more or less, by Flip Flappers because she's really badly injured. And she seems like they might have a kind of antagonistic relationship. It turns out, no, Yu really likes Yayaka and wants to be her little sister, basically. So it turns out okay in the end. Yay. That's nice.
She doesn't quite, like, it doesn't feel like she's doing it maliciously. Like, her introduction is basically, Yayaka, we don't think that you're as, what's we're looking for here, robotically emotionless as we would like, so we're going to replace you with someone who's not going to, punk out when the decisions get tough.
Exactly. Excuse me. Now, who's playing these characters, you're probably asking. Well, I can tell you that right now. Yayaka is being played by Patricia Duran, who's known for such roles as Bozeko Palesti in Gate, Freya in Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, and Kagari in Ushio and Tora. Yu is being played by Carly Mosier, who's known for such roles as Toku Fukawa in Danganronpa 3, the anime, not the game. Saiko Tanaka in Haikyuu the second season, and Lala in Monster Musume. Toto is being played by Philip Hayes, who's known for not much of anything, frankly. He plays Takuro Oiwaka in Haikyuu. He plays Tatsuo Isozaki in Squid Girl, and Umizato in Ushio and Tora, among other things. And Yunyu is being played by Emily Neves, who is known for such roles as playing Umaru in Himoto Umaru-chan, Leonora Nakiri in Food Wars The Second Plate, and Ruler in Magical Girl Raising Project.
Oh, boy.
Like every one of those shows you mentioned.
Yes, sidebar, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that Philip Hayes has a headshot now, because about 3 months after I edited this episode, I had sent an email to what I thought might be his website saying, "Hey, are you this actor?" And too late to be in the original episode, he got back to being like, "Oh yeah, that's me." But now I know it's him, so I can actually put his headshot in this version of the episode. Thanks, Phil. I'm sorry I never responded to your email like 5 years ago.
Yeah, right. There's a real reason we're doing this now is to make up for that missing headshot from years ago.
Exactly. Precisely.
And it's a shame, though, that we're not really going to get to say very much about Philip or Carly because they, I believe, combined have about 10 lines of dialogue.
They play good robotic children. Like, I'll definitely say that, but that kind of, by definition, that basically means you don't really have that much to work with. No.
Yeah, and even if it is not much, I at very least get to hear Kali Moshi in an anime again.
The extent of her lines are basically, I will be reporting this, and she fell for it. And that's about it.
Good times.
Like, they are underutilized. Like, they're characters that feel like they could, their very flat affectations could work well as a contrast to Papika, who's the complete opposite of that, basically. And like, I'd really like to get more of an explanation. Like, why does Yu have like a broken arm? Like, she's got like this, her arm in a sling, and then she's got like this puppet thing on it when they're in fight mode. Like, we could use an explanation on that. We're just never gonna get it.
No, for better or for worse, this is a show that has the there's a bit in a movie I like very much, Buckaroo Banzai, where some characters are walking through a room in like a science in like their headquarters of the main group, and they walk by what is a watermelon and some sort of giant vice contraption, and one of the characters asks, "What's that?" And the other one, the one he's following, looks at it from when he says, "I'll tell you later," and you never get an explanation for what exactly this is supposed to be. Just don't worry about it. It's not that important.
More movies need that. More movies need just an absolute betrayal to the audience of give you something you'd like to know more about and fully lie to you and say, like, no, we're not going to show you what that's about.
Yeah.
I guess the only question I have kind of is, so the characters of Yu and Toto are like kind of younger looking, so I would kind of expect, and I think they has in the Japanese more of a kid voice. But Philip's very obviously, post-puberty, so he has the voice of a post-adolescent. Very interesting choice for a character that the design suggests would have more of a, I suppose, just a higher pitch, younger voice to it.
Mm-hmm. So something more explicitly like childish, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the show is interesting that way. I haven't heard it in Japanese, so I don't know what they go with there. But these feel like roles that are right for kind of like friction between kind of the vocal quality and the character design on purpose. So maybe they're going for that kind of thing.
Possibly. It's definitely a trope. Like these characters feel like they're less there for a function and more for we have it in our heads that shows like this have a main antagonist who has like sidekicks. Mm-hmm. We've all seen. Actually, I'm trying to think of an example now. I'm thinking back to Utena. I'm thinking back to the little sister in Utena, who has like these like friend A and friend B characters who just like follow her around everywhere while she's intimidating other characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the twin characters?
They do good with what they got. Sometimes like it's a good performance, but all you really have to say is like they showed up and put in good hard work.
Yeah, that's fair. And you know what? Well, everyone put in good hard work, and
yes.
Emily puts in good hard work for New.
Yeah, it's Emily Neves doing what Emily Neves does best. Mm-hmm. Now with a gun.
Yeah.
I presume by doing what she does best, you mean playing a little gremlin character.
Yeah. And going back to the nickel joke, if I had a nickel for every time Emily Neves played a little kid girl with a gun, I'd have 2 nickels. But at least this way it's played up for comedic purposes a bit.
Mm. What was the other one?
Akudama Drive, the last episode.
Oh. As you can tell, I have not seen that.
That makes 2 of us.
I will say, if you do want to see that scene, you might have to buy the home video release because that was on the extended cut.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a trope. Again, inserting a little sister archetype in the show feels very tropish. But it does play up the anxiety of Yayaka. Like, the main reason there is you are disposable, Yayaka. You know, you can be replaced by someone else. And I guess you're going to do that, do it with a cuter version of you. You know, we upgraded to a newer model, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Emily's a lot of fun playing it. I'd forgotten that she was Umaru until I was like looking up cast roles for this, but I was like, no, that's the correct vibe for this character. Like that's the right direction. Good job.
I am so glad they finally dubbed the second season of Umaru-chan.
Took them long enough.
It did, and I can't get a straight answer on why it took so long. For the longest time I blamed it on the whole. It aired on Amazon Prime originally, and they weren't allowed to dub or release it. But I'm not sure if that's entirely true.
I do. Whenever these things come up, I usually assume some amount of like legal stuff is involved, not necessarily nefarious legal stuff, just like dumb contract BS that doesn't matter, but people have to follow anyways.
Probably.
Like that. It's a plausible enough explanation. I don't know.
It's the same. The same. Contract issues that are like why we can't have what is it here? They cannot release Captain EO on home video or stream it anywhere. It can only be shown in the Disney parks.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that, I think we should probably gush about Patricia for a little bit, shouldn't we?
Yeah, basically.
She does good. She does good.
She gets to swear.
As she should.
You can see how steeled her resolve is. Like, she's basically hungry like the wolf, you know? Remember that joke, Noah?
Everyone has two wolves inside them. But yes, I remember that reference as well. Oh, wait, what episode was that from?
That was also from this episode.
Oh, I don't remember us making that reference in that episode.
I made the Duran Duran reference, but
you want me to remember stuff that we did last decade? Really?
I'm not asking you to remember. I'm just asking if you remember.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I appreciate that you have the faith in me to have remembered something from before 2020 happened, but I must disappoint you and say I do not. Actually, 2019 and before that is kind of a big blur to me.
It happens.
But what's not a blur is how Patricia manages all sides of Yayaka in this, because her journey is very interesting. Like, she starts out as seemingly like an innocuous bad influence friend who says, let's skip school, or man, I hate going to class, and wants to hang out in the nurse's office all the time. But then actually gets drawn into the whole conflict of actually, we got superpowers and we're going into this imaginary world where anything can happen. And then gets really sad and depressed when she realizes she has to fight against her best friend, which they had a really good dynamic in that episode where we see them as, what was it? I think it was the Pure Mute episode where we see them meeting as children at the doctor's office.
Yep. Yeah, we see them meet at the doctor's office. We learned that a lot of her friendship kind of stemmed from like just trying to get close to. It kind of reminded me in a way of, and this show got canceled, but I think it's for good reason. There was an old show old in quotation marks show on Cartoon Network called Generator Rex. And
rest in peace.
Yeah, and within the first couple episodes, it had a similar setup, but it wasn't as, I say drawn out in quotation marks, because the main character and his best friend, it turns out the best friend was always getting close because he needed to keep an eye on Rex, and it kind of felt the same way here. The only difference is there was more basically antagonistic tendencies, because they realized they all have their own objectives, the same goal but different objectives.
Yeah, and I don't think we find out what Yayaka's wish is, did we? Like, did we find out what the reason why she's trying to collect the shards?
Hell if I know.
I don't remember if we do.
So I remember they very they're very blatantly asked, like, I wonder what Yayaka's wish is in that episode where they're was it Paprika and the twins are like kind of locked in this no, it's Coconut and the twins are locked in another room basically, and we have Paprika and I'm bad with names. We have Paprika fighting against Yayuka, and she's like, I wonder why, what her wish is. But there definitely seems to be an influence of the Yuri writing in this show. Like, there's a very non-platonic way to view their friendship.
Yeah, I personally think it might have something. Her wish may have something to do with the friendship, even though it's never explicitly stated. Because I say that because I've seen shows like this where y'all have the same objective but different goals in mind, and y'all kind of on opposite teams. Mm-hmm. And basically the whole time you see them like hanging around each other, like when she's eating cake in the nurse's office and the two are talking. Normally when I see friends that are kind of like a little antagonistic towards each other, it's more like, I told you, stay away from me, that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fact that there's a lack of that in this show makes me think, deep down inside she realized she knows what she's doing to a Coconut is wrong, but, I guess she didn't want to seem like any different to her superiors, basically.
But there's definitely a tsundere archetype in there.
Okay, here's the thing. I did think tsundere, but the difference with that is your usual tsundere trope. You're kind of beating up on somebody for being an idiot. You're not beating up on somebody because you have to.
Well, yeah, that's true, but not every tsundere has to be insulting. Like, we see a lot of that in Yayaka in the giant robot episode, because she basically has to do her own transformation, but she's very trying to hide it very clearly. She's all like, I'm only doing this to, get the shard. I'm not doing it because I want to help you or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, you big softy, you.
Yeah, basically. Patricia was fabulous as Yarika. I'll be honest, I don't remember if she's been doing any more stuff lately, but it's always a delight to hear her again as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she definitely got to be a very different kind of voice than the other two. Like, you would, with no visuals to see on the screen, you would not mistake any of her lines with any other character.
Indeed. I think she turned in a wonderful performance for the reasons you guys have already stated. Like, I think also she talking about casting again. I think she provides a really good contrast to how Lucy and Brittany play their characters. Like, there's a lot of I think a lot of care was put into kind of like how these voices are going to blend together during their scenes, and I think Patricia was both a good choice and turned in a good performance on top of that. Just very good at being angry and hurt in the right ways, I think, if that makes sense. It's good.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, the hurt parts feel less like that was the main focus of the writing, because it was. I know you said that there's not really an antagonist ... in the show, but her journey is like, she does not have a good friend like Pappy and Coconut do to each other, and you're seeing that has a negative effect because she's trying to do it all herself, and when she can't, she's left behind. Like, take the lesson from this. All you otaku watching this, go out there and find yourself a good friend. Find yourself a friend who will go on magical adventures with you in weird costumes to recover magical artifacts, because we all need one of those.
Exactly.
Have any of you seen Cardcaptor Sakura?
Yes.
Oh, not in a very long time. But go on.
Well, this dynamic reminded me very much of the but what was the main boy in that show again? Whose name I'm blanking on? It starts with an SH.
Shaoran.
Yeah, Shaoran.
Shaoran. Yeah.
Shaoran definitely felt like the archetype that Yayaka was written to be emulating, and this very also trying to capture the same magical item, but will occasionally help out, and at the end of the day is just a big softie.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, fun fact that I learned just now from looking at ANN, because I was trying to see if Patricia Duran had been in anything recently. I've often wondered why Philip Hayes occasionally shows up in Sentai dubs, because he's mostly a theater actor. He doesn't do a lot of anime.
That's why I remember him for. Yeah, the two are married, right?
Yeah, they're married, which I didn't know that. Like, okay, that's fine.
I completely forgot about that until now, and then.
It's like, yeah, it would make his intermittent appearances would make sense if he is married to one of the like Houston area regulars. Basically, that makes a lot more sense now. Okay.
Hey Philip, I know you're giving Patricia a ride to the office today. Can you just swing in for just a couple of minutes? We got these 3 lines we need filled in.
I mean, you joke, but that might be what it actually is. It's like, hey Phil, do you want a quick gig? And it's like, hey, sure. What will take me an afternoon? Yeah. All right, I'm good for that.
Yeah. Like, you are an actor. You are a legitimate actor.
Yeah, for one of the beautiful things about the pre-Simuldub era was that it was, if you had, like, really bit parts, it was much easier just to get an actor and, like, hey, you just record your role in, like, a day, I'm assuming, 2 days maybe. Yeah. Just get it over and done with.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I've really appreciated about listening to a lot of G-Kid stuff recently, is because they're centered out of New York, you get a bunch of people who aren't known for being voice actors, but a lot of people are known for theater work, and so you get a newer crop of voices that makes it feel fresh to your ears.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all the characters in the show, so you guys want to jump into final thoughts then?
Yeah, we can I'm sorry, hold on, I spilled something on my notes. Oh wait, we got 2 more. We should cover them before we.
Oh, okay. All right, we can cover
these
final 2 parts then.
All right. Last off, we have Kokona and Papika, the people for whom, without which this show would not be happening. Kokona is a shy, reserved girl who feels very directionless. She doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. She feels very isolated. It feels kind of like she's maybe content to just kind of float through life and not take it very seriously, until one day she is going to school and a girl on a flying surfboard goes by. And that's Papika.
Isn't that the dream for everyone?
I mean, yes. Yes. Look, this and Eureka 7 understand something very important, which is that flying surfboards are great, and there should be more of them in fiction.
Absolutely.
It's a real shame it's just the 2 shows, really.
Well, there was also Treasure Planet took that to the pinnacle as well. They used the flying surfboard in the grand finale. It saved the day.
And I know none of y'all, you even said it yourselves that y'all seen it. There was actually a surfboard. There was a surf episode in Space Dandy once with a flying surfboard, and the creepiest Bryce Papenbrook performance you will ever hear in your entire life.
Well, that's beautiful. I should track that one down.
That does not surprise me at all. I don't remember which episode had Bryce Papenbrook in it, but that would be very fitting.
Are you into ukuleles, Noah?
Oh, absolutely. I have an aunt and uncle who live in Hawaii.
Yeah, just look for the ukulele man, then you'll see Bryce Papenbrook.
Oh boy.
I feel like I need to rewatch Space Sandy again, because I feel like I've forgotten about a third of the episodes.
That'll happen, I think. Makes sense.
I'm very sorry. I'm sorry, Shinichiro Watanabe. I'm sorry, everyone else who worked on that show.
Consider it an opportunity to revisit an interesting piece of art.
That is
good attitude.
Speaking of an interesting piece of art.
Oh, who's playing these characters? Yes. Kokona is being played by Lucy Christian, who is known for
everything.
A lot of things. Yeah, everything.
No citation needed.
Yeah, really. What are these people that when I go to A&N, it's like, when does the page end? Around this time she was having a great time. She was playing Hestia and Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? That's 10 years of work right there. She plays Ochako in My Hero. It's about another decade of work.
Yeah.
She played Echizen in Tanaka-kun Was Always Listless, which did not get any sequels, but that's a very cute show, so that's good too.
It's a great show to fall asleep to.
Absolutely. The vibes are immaculate, as the children say these days.
Yes.
And Papika is being played by Brittany Karbowski, who's also been in 1,000,001 things. Maybe not as many as Lucy Christian, but very prolific actress. Around this time, she would have been playing such roles as Isako in Food Wars. She's Poppy in Monster Musume, which, I don't know, I find something very funny about that. I don't know why. I don't know. 2 blue-haired girls, I guess.
Both named Poppy.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. It's Poppy and Papika. It's like, oh, that's funny. And she also plays Luluko in Space Patrol Luluko, which is also appropriate given that the Gynaxy episode is very trigger Gynax, if you will. It's that side of the company, so.
And also fitting for another red-headed character for the other half of Paprika's character design.
Exactly. All right, who do you want to start with?
I'll start off by saying that Lucy Christian's Kokona reminds me how much range Lucy really has. I think a lot of us associate her with her younger, cutesier sounding voices. You know, your Ducks and Princess Tutu, your Nagisa and Clan Ads, or your Ochaka and My Hero Academia. But aside from a scene where she has to play a younger version of her character where she uses that voice, in this show, she mostly doesn't use that. She mostly uses her, I guess, straight man voice that goes with the character because it has to contrast with the Brittany Karbowski's more manic sounding character. But it doesn't lose any of the acting proficiency. It is still a performance that is carries the emotional weight, the anxiety, basically all of the mix of teenage emotions that Kokona is carrying. And I'm just glad what we got to hear Lucy play another a very different kind of role than I think most of us are used to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't really have any critiques on this. Like, I wish I could be like, well, this line could have been performed this way or this one that way. But no, it's there's a range here. Like, despite Kokona being the straight man of the two, she does have a lot of mixed emotions. There's episodes where she wants to swatch places with her other version of herself because she doesn't like the domestic life she lives, or she's quilting in this like Yuri-tastic Christian school and she has to, play that kind of a character. And there's great episodes where she's screaming out when a robot transforms and fighting against the giant monster that tries to take over the city. It's just a great use of your Lucy Christian.
We were talking earlier how like a lot of the side characters are kind of intentionally written as very archetypal, like that's on purpose, not by accident. And Kokona obviously I think is very clearly not written like that. She has a lot more, much more of an arc obviously as the main character, and I do like Lucy. I think is able to capture that very very well. Helped by the fact that even in 2016 she was a seasoned pro of at least a decade, 15 years, more than that. I think I don't actually know when she started acting.
According to I was looking this up during the Princess Tutu episode. Yeah, I think she'd been early. Would have been early 2000s, like really early things. I think it would have been very
end of the 90s, something like that.
Yeah, like at least to the point that it was that era where anime was still coming out on VHS. So
okay, yeah. I mean that's at this point, yeah, that's like 15 plus years. Like that's
yeah.
You'll be doing some good work by that point in your career.
And it's funny because you want to know Tonal Whiplash. So I'd say Whiplash. It wasn't that big of a whiplash. So we do a recommended die challenge where we get challenged to one piece of media by whoever our assigned partner is. And last month I got challenged to School Rumble by Jackson, in which Lucy Christian kind of plays the lead, Tenma Skamoto, who's an airhead in high school.
I believe the proper term is a Genki girl.
Yeah, Genki girl, very enthusiastic. Kind of a tonal opposite to her playing Kokona in Flip Flappers, which, even though they're both in a school setting, she tends to go a little deeper in her voice, or probably closer to a natural voice as it would. And then, of course, there's also young Kokona when you see her in the flashback. I say flashback, I think, time in reality was warped in pure illusion, so for all we know, that could have been a flashback, that could have been happening in real time, we don't know. But when we see younger Kokona...
I've got a board here. I got a board, Jamal, and I've got red strings. So we're going to make our own Pepe Sylvia wall to try to determine what was real, what was pure illusion, and what was maybe in between the two.
Don't get me wrong, everything to them was real. It's just in an alternate plane of existence. It's basically time that is warped, because you see, and we'll get more into it, Paprika. You see Paprika kind of de-age a bit, when she's held hostage behind the tree. which is odd because I don't remember those two switching, but I guess it was a different reality or a flashback altogether. It's hard to tell. Who's to say? But when you see the two speakers to younger selves, I thought it was kind of neat. And it as Hardy has said before in the past, Lucy Christian has never turned in a bad performance. So I don't want to say there's not much to say about Lucy Christian as Coconut, but I thought she did very well with what was given. I think what especially stood out for me was this is mostly on the mixing part, because at the end of, I want to say episode 9. Yeah, episode 9 with the robots infiltrate the house and we find out Grandma was a robot the whole fucking time.
Yeah, that was surprise.
Which either I forgot about that or I didn't think about it as much. And then the house blows up because, all these shots of Mimi going to her body and her mother Mimi just possessed her. And then we see this dialogue where both of them actually say, "Don't worry, Coconut. Mommy's here to protect you." And as she's hovering in the sky while her house is literally open. And then you look, and then you see the mirror where you see Mimi's reflection in the mirror. I'm like, damn, that was hard. They went hard on that. So
I'm glad you got to experience that a second time as a complete surprise.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I remember that scene. I mean, I even remember the moments leading up to it. It's just seeing it all again. It's like you forget about the mixes sometimes. It was impressive, but like I said, with Lucy, like we've stated in the past, she never really turns in a bad performance or anything. It's kind of the same way I feel about Brittany, but we'll get into Brittany in a second. So,
see, you brought up a great point, Jamal, in that thinking about Lucy's portrayal as Tenma, she could have played either of the lead characters. She could have been Pepika in this, or Coconut. And honestly, I think the same goes for Brittany Karbowski. If we get into it in a second here, she could have also been Coconut or Pepika. So I'm not sure if it was like a coin flip situation. They're like, okay, we know Lucy's going to play one lead and Brittany's going to be another, but we don't know which one yet. So, screw it. Let's just flip a coin and see which one.
And it's funny you say that, given one particular episode with Paprika. I could definitely see that happening now that I think about it.
It definitely, and we know that Brittany's range also runs the gambit of, both manic characters, but also serious ones. Especially if you saw Gleipnir, you saw her as
man,
down-to-earth. I'm sorry, I know Claire's not grounded in reality necessarily, but she's more serious than I think most of us think of in your average Brittany Karbowski performance.
She provides us with a new flavor, Brittany Karbowski. Evil Brittany Karbowski.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you know what? I am here for evil Brittany Karbowski. I would like to subscribe to that show.
Yes, she should let her play more awful women more often. She's very good at that, and she that part of it just there's not necessarily a lot of those in anime in the first place. But hire Brittany Karbowski to play more of those. She's great.
Or at the very least, make a second season of Gleipnir.
Yeah, I'd like that too. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Man, breaks your heart. Anyways, in fact, yes. Talking about Brittany's range, I'm thinking of. I suspect the episode that Jamal is also thinking of, where Coconut just encounters the cavalcade of Paprika embodying various would-be romantic archetypes, basically.
The cacophony of Paprika. So.
Yes, which I think when that moment came up, it's like, oh, now okay, this is why they cast Brittany. They needed somebody who could do all of these in one episode and have them all be good.
It's like I've said in the past before about Brittany as well. She has one tone of voice, but can manage to spin into every different type of performance. Because even though it sounds the same, she manages to handle different characters, different aspects of every character very well. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, this is par for the course with Brittany. She got a lot going on here. And then you hear the seductive one in Paprika's bed. I'm like, God damn, Brittany.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I also had similar feelings. She was also in another show that came out a couple years back, The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated. But in that one, she took a different tone of voice. She sounded more regal, before it ended up devolving into the usual Brittany Karbowski. And my brain was like, oh, that's Brittany Karbowski. That's Brittany Karbowski? And it's the same feeling I get every time I see that episode with the multiplicities of Paprikas. Because it's like, it's just Brittany. She can't really do any wrong with this. And then you always see that one character that just kind of throws you off a bit.
I feel like she may have gotten typecast a bit in the, like, because she, for many years, had, like, the very similar kind of casting. Like, she was IU in Canon, or she was Maho in Pawnee Pony Dash. So seeing in more recent years, casting directors allowing her to show her range in shows that it's still recognizably Britney, but is a different flavor of Britney is very welcome. And I think we all encourage any casting directors listening to this to absolutely try looking outside the box, because your actors have way more skills than even your audience may peg them for. Give them a chance to shine on the, I was going to say on the screen, on the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I know Bunny is very good at playing like little gremlin types as well. Like I've met her like twice in person. And I know like how she is. Like I've heard stories about like her antics in the past, but she's pretty cool and down to earth when you get right into it, and she really brings down that performance. So, but yeah, like I always love a good Brittany Karbowski performance. Like she can't really do any wrong. I mean, what else is there left to say about her? Like, she's just fabulous, and I look forward to whatever she's in next.
Absolutely.
The future of 2017 is bright for Brittany Karbowski. Let's give her a hand, people.
But remember the pre-COVID era?
God. Oh, good times. Good times, he says grimly into his
Yeah.
microphone.
There's gotta be good times on the horizon. Can't get any worse. Hopefully.
We said that for 5 straight years, and look where it got us. Never again.
What could possibly go wrong?
Over to go up, we said, oh, how little we knew.
Can we go back to the housing crash of 2008, please? That was a good time.
Oh, God.
But I think that covers all the characters. Now we've actually covered all the characters, right?
Now, if we want to, we can move on to final thoughts.
Excellent. Which, I mean, we've spent a lot of time in this episode kind of just talking about the nuances of the performances, and not really so much on, like, the themes of the show itself. Well, kind of on the themes, but it's very apparent that this show had a very, let's just make something cool that we like, and probably can't be accused of wanting to convey a deeper message. Like, it's not that deep a commentary about, like, the difficulties of growing up necessarily. Like, it's not a Fooly Cooly or a Revolutionary Girl Utena like we referenced. The theme of butterflies shows up, which we're inclined to believe ties into the metamorphosis, like people grow up kind of symbols to it. But honestly, if you just want to watch this show for the fun of the adventures or the tropes or the nonsense-ness that is in front of you, you're totally fine to do that too. And this dub helps you do that quite a bit, because they do not parody the content. You know, they do not make a mockery out of what it is that we are seeing on screen. It is a very faithful translation of what the Japanese archetypes were into similar English archetypes without changing any of the meaning. And as Jamal kind of mentioned, the mixing on it is very good too. I don't know who the mixer was on this, but they did great. Further cementing why this is absolutely a show that should not be lost to the sands of anime time. And if you have not got a chance to check it out yet, I recommend it. I hope everyone here goes to check it out.
So yeah, this was a show I was glad to revisit, because it definitely raised the bar the second time around for me, because, you know, I thought it was pretty good the way it came out at the beginning, but as with most things Sentai, you know, there's always a bit of hookiness to it. But when I watched it the second time around, I was impressed. This is one of the more premium Sentai dubs, in my opinion. And if given the opportunity, I'd watch it a third time as well. Or hell, maybe even charge one of my friends to an ROD on it. But that's gonna be tough for various reasons. But I do encourage, if you ever want to get a chance to check it out yourself, please do so. I had to get my copy from Amazon for various reasons.
Jamal, you just made me think of Gravity Falls, that scene where Dipper has to explain why getting to the USSR is going to be difficult for a number of reasons. Amon got that.
But
I should rewatch Gravity Falls. That was a show made for me.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny because this is not the first time something like this had to happen for me for a retrospective episode. Go see last month's episode, also hosted by me.
Yeah, we'll get into that some more in a minute too.
Yeah.
A thing I found interesting about this, I was reading the nice fancy hardback that comes with the limited edition, is they mentioned in the beginning that they the initial idea for the show was to be a space opera. Starring these two, and then that eventually mutated into like, what if it wasn't about them going through literal space? What if it was about them going through metaphorical space? And that's when like the idea of pure illusion as a setting kind of started to come up, and I think that speaks a lot to kind of its artistic goals. And Noah was talking about in contrast to like Fooly Cooly and Adolescence of Utena, which are obviously very artistic, but I think they're a lot more their themes are a little more specific in terms of like what they're trying to say, and this one feels much more like a bunch of creative people kind of wanting to experiment and trying to take advantage of doing something that's original and isn't necessarily tied to a pre-existing property, and kind of using that to kind of like try out things and flex their muscles and so on. I think not for nothing that one of the at least a few that one, obviously our lead here, Oshiyama, he's directed Look Back last year. That's a great movie. That's I think it's it's already won a bunch of awards. Like I think its award season is over, but that did very well. And the other one that stats out is let me make sure I got the right guy. Give me a second. Yeah, episode 5, the one set in the school. That episode was directed by a guy named Ryohei Takeshita. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he's directing The Summer Hikaru Died, which is coming out this year.
Oh, okay.
The creepy like ghost story thing. So like this already feels like it might be one of these ones where you look back on, it's like, wow, this had a stacked crew. That's really unexpected.
My favorite little interview bit from the director, from Oshiyama, was, and this was from like right after the show had finished airing, was his mentality going into this as a director was, well, I figured if I blow it on this first directing job, I can still, survive as an animator, so why not just go like balls to the wall for this? Like, I might not get another chance to direct anything, so I'm just gonna do this no regrets whatsoever.
You know what? I can admire that. That's not a bad attitude to have. And on top of that, like, this is a wonderful dub. I would agree. I think this is probably one of the best dubs Sentai's done. Like, it matches the show really well, and it also just feels like a really strong piece of work in its own right. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason, I think thinking about some of the other stuff John Swayze's directed, because he's often, there have definitely been periods where he's kind of been like Sentai's go-to director a lot of the time, just because they don't have that many people to draw from in their acting pool at certain points in their history. And weirdly enough, I was thinking of in contrast to like Stephen Foster, who like I do think is a good director on the whole, but very clearly if he got work that he was very bored with, like you could tell like that he was not a good man at, like, he had a very set range of things he liked working on, and was very uninterested in anything that fell outside of that.
Would it be fair to compare him to like the Michael Bay of ADR directors?
A little bit, yes. Like there's things he's very, very good at, and if he falls outside of that, he gets very, very bored. And thinking about how Swayze, I think, has directed stuff that isn't kind of that, stuff that is along the lines of stuff Stephen Foster would have directed if he had not retired. But he clearly has either a much wider palette, or is at least too much of a professional to like half-ass anything. So there's definitely some goofy stuff in his catalog, but he also does stuff like this and After the Rain, which is clearly much more like, no, this is a serious work. I need to match the effort that's being put out here and not screw it up.
Right.
Like definitely of stuff I've seen, this is probably up near the top of like some of the best work I've ever seen from like him, definitely as a director, Mario as a writer, like all the actors in here. Like this is really high tier stuff. Like it's good, and you should check it out. And if you want to check it out, that's where we do run into a little bit of a speed bump.
Yeah, what could possibly have gone wrong? Like, this is a show that like is in the pantheon of great anime, so clearly it is easily and readily available, right?
Well, that were. If you do want to watch this, unfortunately, it's no longer streaming anywhere. And it is not impossible to find on home video. You can definitely still find copies floating around on, like, Amazon. If you go on, eBay, secondhand sellers, you can still get it.
Just not in Sentai Shop.
No, it is. No. It is very out of print on Sentai. I know even the fancy box I have, like, judging by the order, I found my old order email for it, and, like, I clearly bought this at a clearance sale. Like, it was going for, like, what was probably half MSRP because they were just trying to get rid of it because no one was buying it.
Unfortunately.
An unfortunate state for a lot of good, cool stuff Sentai picks up. It's really frustrating. A lot of times I'll see stuff that's fallen off of High Dive, and it's like, that sucks, but I'm also looking at what show it is, and it's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't keep throwing money at that either. Like, that's a black hole you're never going to dig yourself out of. That's a real shame.
I've noticed in recent years, like, a couple of those shows have managed to come back to streaming, so it might take a long time before it ever comes back to streaming, but I don't know if I'd count on it being available on home video release again. That's just me. That's what I've noticed lately, so.
I would love if... off the work of Look Back, like, Oshiyama, like, becomes kind of one of the known anime directors, and so interest in his other work starts to pick up again, because he hasn't directed that much by himself. It's basically that, as far as, like, primary director, I think it might still just be Look Back, that Space Dandy episode, and maybe one other thing he's directed in the interim. Like, he's mostly worked as kind of a animator or episode director, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I could see someone picking this back up in the future, like Sentai ponying up for it again, somebody like Discotech, like, putting out an edition, and like I said, this is not impossible to find. It might be a little bit expensive, like, kind of more in, like, the $40-$50 range than something lower than that, but you can find this. And obviously it's an anime on the internet. If you really want to go watch it, I'm sure you all have your methods for things where you run into this scenario, so we the Dumb Talk Podcast do not officially condone this material behavior, but we are not your mother, and we don't care what you do. You're an adult. Make your own choices.
There you go.
Like, I would recommend, like, if you're in a position to watch the show, do watch it. It's a lot of fun. It's creative. It's interesting. Like, it is a good time. Like, you would be like, this is a good. Go watch it. It's nice.
I do remember we have, just as a final little story, is we were at a convention, and by we, I mean a good member of the Dub Talk group. I think it was Anime Fest 2018, I think is when it was. Mm-hmm. And we were all, like, we had decided to go round robin to pick one episode to show to the whole group. I know somebody picked a hentai episode. Good for them. Some people picked, I think it was an episode of a seasonal show that was coming out at the time. I think Gigi picked... was it Udapri or something like that? I just remember that for myself, I was like, have you guys all seen Flip Flappers? And most of them had said no, they had not. So I was like, okay, I know what we're watching. So we had watched the first snow-covered Hayao Miyazaki-inspired episode of Flip Flappers, and everyone had a very good time. So, again, if you want to sample the show to see if it is your bag, as we recommended, that first episode will probably tell you very early on whether you will or will not jive with it.
Yes, I will also say as one final note, it is the cutest damn ending sequence. It's adorable.
Yeah.
Worth watching just to see that alone, frankly.
Good point. Good point to end off on.
Not for nothing that this fancy little booklet on the back, it has a little spot illustration of the bit where Papika's hiding behind a tree and Coconuts just very nervously around, looking around, trying to find her, and Papika keeps hiding behind the tree whenever she turns around, so Coconut doesn't see her yet.
I think someone on Twitter had gone through that whole ending song and was like looking for like all the key changes like in the song itself, like music wise, and had found that like this thing changes like the meter or the key change like 12 times throughout the whole song. That's very weird for any kind of song.
Yeah, it says this in the book. That was written by the guy who did the music for the anime, which was, I think, kind of unusual. Like, it wasn't like the singer, I think, is someone else, but like the actual song was written by him.
Yeah,
which, that would actually make sense to me if this was written by maybe a more composer type writer than somebody who's necessarily writing like pop songs. But
well, you telling me there wasn't already a Japanese pop song with the chorus flip flap before they made the show?
I mean, stranger things have happened, but no, that was not that quite a big a coincidence. No.
Good point.
All right. If you would like to watch us here at Dub Talk, you can find us on YouTube, where you're possibly watching us now. You can find us on Podbean and various podcast streaming services. Pick your favorite. We're probably going to be there. And let's see. If you would like to support us, because we very much appreciate that, we have a Ko-fi, which you can find down in the episode description, where you can do a one-time donation. And if you're into the whole Patreon thing, you can donate to our Patreon on a more recurring basis. And if you donate enough money, we will read out your name at the end of the episode, which I am going to do right now. Thank you to our $5 tier patrons: Bright Eyes, Just J2, Quinoa Soup, Marissa Lenti, Megan's Mom and Dad, and Michelle Travis. And thank you to our $10 tier patrons: Anthony Brown, Carly Lesticow,
Yes.
Julia W., Pika Greg, and Shoulder. Thank you so much for donating your time and money to us. Gentlemen, where do you want to be found on the internet?
You can follow me around the internet pretty much anywhere there's the username at NoahClue. Still have the Twitter handle, still have a Blue Sky account, and that is probably where you will see me either discussing the intricacies of global animation, or you will see pictures of my kids and family, because it is summer vacation and they are just having the time of their lives. So if you want to be reminded what having a summer vacation was like before the onset of jobs and expectations set in, check out my Twitter and Blue Sky account.
All right.
You can find me on Twitter at Blue Sky at Jamstar529. I'll be there until we somehow managed to set Elon to pure illusion. I'm also assistant editor for the podcast. I can be found on my YouTube channel, Jamstar1. I'm still trying to do solo podcasting. Don't worry, I'll get there when I get to it.
Looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. And you can find me as Amon Duel US, Duel with 2 U's, on mostly Blue Sky. I'm on a few other websites as well that I don't use nearly as much. I also have a very infrequently updated blog, which might get another post. Who knows? I might be able to do like one a year at this rate. That'll be good. And you can mostly find me on Blue Sky, where I talk about movies and comic books and bullshit and music. And since I talk about music, I have a dusty old song for you for this evening. Actually, because some pre-recording discussion led me to think that actually Zyrika by the Flaming Lips might actually be a fun time. That's a fun one. It's a 4 CD set where you're supposed to play. You get 4 CD players, put 1 CD in each one, and play them in unison.
Now, did they do that? I'm saying, did they ever redistribute that on vinyl?
I don't think so. Partially because as much as I put it this way, I love Zyrika both because it's weird and also because what's his name? The lead singer of the Flaming Lips. I should know his name. I like them. He was Wayne Cohn. Is that it? Anyways, he was doing.
Go ahead.
He was doing a signing at Newbury Comics around here, so I went and I brought my Zyrika, and he was like, I love the people who bring Zyrika. They're the real weirdos. Which is maybe one of the nicest things anyone has ever said to me, frankly.
Yeah. It is Wayne Coyne.
Yeah, no, he's fun. And that thematically I think is a good pick, but I did want something that had lesbians involved because of what the show is. So instead, for my official pick, I'm going to recommend "The Con" by Tegan and Sarah, which was a track that I heard about. I first heard in college. I like that one a lot, and I think it captures some of the kind of emotional intensity that you get in particularly kind of the latter half of the show. So that's a fun one. Check that out.
See, I was waiting for you to drop the knowledge that, like, Aishi Battles the Pink Robots, the other great Flaming Lips album, was also about lesbians.
I mean, it could be, frankly.
I don't know.
I mean, that's a very anime-ass album, actually. That would probably fit, too. It is about a young woman who fights robots, so, you know.
Anything by the Flaming Lips would work. But honestly,
yeah.
But wait, with the having a recommendation for this particular show, I'll go with the lesbian album as well.
Yeah. All right, and with that, thank you so much for listening, for us revisiting the past and talking about this wonderful show that hopefully will be better remembered in the future, because I do agree. I feel like this is one of those ones that kind of it came out and people liked it, and it just kind of people stopped talking about it a little after a while. It's a shame. This is a good one.
It just the inevitability of how much anime is being released and has been for quite a while. Some very great shows. Yeah,
I've been listening to that Quest for the Best podcast, and I think in one of the early episodes, he's said this in a few places, but Miles, who used to work for Crunchyroll, mentioned that like half of all the anime ever made came out after 2010.
That is depressing and very true.
It's like God, no wonder I can't keep up with anything. That's absurd. So hopefully this one can get even if it's just has a little cult following, it can be remembered at least because it deserves that. At minimum.
That's a good point. Like I think the people who do know the show and have and tasted it seem to like it quite well, and will keep it alive at least as a cult series for quite a while.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for being part of this rediscovery of Flip Flappers.
Indeed.
You're welcome.
The flapping lips.
Rock over Boston, rock on Chicago.
Aloha.
Otaku on, keep on flapping.